What's up, AfterBuzzers? We're talking Amazon show Forever, episodes 4 through 6. A lot has happened. Things are getting rocky for Oscar in June. We're going to break it all down right now, so don't go away.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Anthony in the booth, great song choice. Or was this
We collectively
Lauren?
decided.
Oh, it was a collective decision. Welcome to the Forever After Show, you guys. We have 3 really great episodes to talk about. Before we get into it, I'm Steph Sabraw, and to my left is 2 beautiful ladies.
Oh, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. I'm Jenifer Golden.
And I'm pretty. And I am Lauren Leonelli. And I think maybe that
Also pretty.
that they could flatter each other a little more on this show, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you guys don't know, they are our resident relationship love advice women on It's Complicated. And but after we break down each episode 4, Case, episode 5 is Another Place, and episode 6, Andre and Sarah, we will have a special segment by them where I ask them a question concerning the show and relationships, and they will provide us answers we all need, probably. And then we will have some news and gossip, and then wrap it up with some predictions. So, what was your guys' there's a fly in here.
Yeah, guys.
If you
It's our
see
visitor.
it.
Here it is.
What was your overall impressions of these episodes?
I thought they were really interesting and made me just continue to watch. And thank God this is a binge watching show because I rolled from one to the next to the next. In fact, I finished the season, but don't tell anybody. I couldn't help myself. Anyway, Lauren.
I like that they're a half hour because that does help. And they don't feel like they're too long. They make you want to watch the next one. And these episodes were all so different. The final the episode 6, which was Andre and Sarah, I felt like I was watching a different show, but not in a bad way. So the variety that comes through the storytelling and the plot of this show is really, you're not going to be bored. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be bored.
No, definitely not.
I totally agree. The storytelling of them proving the same points that they're trying to prove, but in completely different ways that make you see it differently. And then you understand kind of like the partnership and the balance between relationships and even like infidelity we get in the last episode is crazy. So, but episode 4 is a little different. We have a wrench that I love. Her name is Case. She's played by Catherine Keener, and she moves next door, which is new, and you could tell in the craziest part about it was that June came here and after in Earth realized, or wherever she was when she was alive, and realized that she didn't like the way she was living life. Then she comes here only to be living the exact same routine.
Yep.
What do you guys think that says about routine and just getting too comfortable and not going outside of your comfort zone in relationships?
I mean, I think it's a killer for anything, work, romance, friendships. If you just feel like you're going through the motions and you're not doing something to excite yourself, whether or not it's out of a fear or whatever your emotional reason is for not trying to like give yourself some excitement or some variance, I think
You should also constantly be evolving.
yeah, it could be
As a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, like, that's your job.
I think
Sorry to cut you off.
No,
like
it
who
is.
else is gonna evolve you other than you? Evolve yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
get a
depend
hobby.
on your significant other to make that happen. And I think you just need to pay attention to like how to constantly better yourself, right? Like look within your partner to become better. Don't take things as like offense or personally. Try to find the silver lining. Like how can I be better? The whole dishwasher situation.
The
could
passive
have-
aggressive.
Right.
Like, okay, and this might be just jumping to like what I think was the end of the episode, but like Steph, what do you think of the sign that Oscar made?
Oh my gosh, the Time's Up sign.
Yes.
I just, no, we can talk about that now in terms of their relationship arc. When she's trying to tell him something and then he does a joke and she's like, Oscar, you know that's not what I was talking about. I would think it's funny, but inside I'd be like, we're not solving any of our issues here.
Yeah, and it's also, listen, that's his personality. So, like, maybe they're making his personality not appealing to other people, but that's his personality. You can't change it. Like, he likes routine. Listen, I don't like that. I'm just saying that's him, honey, and that's who you married. So, like, Either
But-
find the compromise and how to communicate about it, and which I think she's trying to do, but maybe it depends on what you believe, right? Like, to answer your question, Steph, if you think that like your life is a lesson and then you're maybe in purgatory or this land that they're in order to figure out what the next lesson is that you have to then be reborn to live again. Let's say you believe that, like, maybe her lesson is, how do you not keep putting yourself in these situations where you're attracting this into your life, or you're living this, because she's part of the equation. She's letting it happen. So don't marry the guy that's boring and monotonous that you dated for however many years until then. Now you want to change him. He wants to he wants to fork things up. That's not shocking.
Jen has something.
No, first of all, I don't understand when people do that. Like, they put the wrong side up.
Sure.
And I understand maybe there's a method to that, but guess what? So what? You're telling me that the bottom of everything I put in the dishwasher is not going to get as clean as the top, so why am I washing my things in the dishwasher then? I think we have bigger issues here. Don't do that,
Well,
dishwasher.
this is not about the forks. I'm not
Totally.
saying I agree with his fork issue.
No,
I'm just saying.
but I need to address that because that bothered me.
my-
Yes.
I just logistically speaking, and the fact that dishwashers are a little overrated now, if you think about it. But
I feel you on that. And I do agree with what Lauren was saying.
Yeah.
That it is true. You know who you married, and I was on Oscar's side, kind of. I felt bad for him because it's like, you know what you got. But when someone's trying to talk to you and like really raise a really important issue and you just make it into a trivial thing instead of hitting the issue, that's the problem.
In all
well,
fairness,
his
yeah.
issue though is communication, and she said you will take every way to get around confrontation. You will do anything to avoid it, like redo the dishwasher every time. And for however many years they were married, 13 years?
Yeah,
or
he did
something
it
like that?
however many
He did
thousands
it
of times.
that many times, like. He had to resent her. So now we're hearing also that he had issues with her, because I thought this whole time she's the only one who had issues with him. But he had issues with the way she did the dishwasher.
And in all fairness, he needs to respect who she is too. So when she
Or to
confronts him,
communicate.
with the problem, he needs to then be able to look at it through her eyes too. So I think they're both kind of set in their ways, don't you think, Steph? Like,
And it was a really interesting, because it was the first time you could see in Oscar's face anything. Usually he's only been portraying positivity, and this was the first time you could see some sort of kind of anger. And it's interesting because they're both, because of their lack of communication and really hitting the center of the issue, now they build resentment, like you were saying, and that's toxic.
But guys, remember episode 1? They were talking about the fact that they never had a baby in 13 years. How does that come up 13 years later?
that they never knew that that's what each other
Right.
wanted or didn't want, which is also so clearly communication,
It was not their strong suit.
No.
which is a hard thing to master in any relationship, but they are not doing a good job.
And they're so bored, yet again, that Case comes in, and they're so fixated on her, creeping her out. And I love how, because I was like, you guys are being weird, right? Like, or is this...
Well, we now must bring her a gift. How dare we show up without a gift? What? I don't think that's a thing.
She just died. She's trying to get acclimated, and you guys are bringing her macaroni in the dish. And I
In the
know
bowls.
Lauren has...
Yeah, the bowls I thought were a metaphor.
Okay, let's hear it.
So she is stuck in her current life, and her former life is following the path of this monotony, like every day the same thing. And so she tries her hardest to inject her own creativity into that, but she can't ever get out of it. So she's like, oh, I know, I'm going to take up pottery. That's new. But then she ends up doing the same mother effing bowl every time. And they're painted a little differently. But it's still not exciting enough for her. But for him, his perspective is every bowl's different. Don't you see how cool and different they all are? And she's
Pretty
like,
positive,
nope,
actually, to
still
look
not
at it that
enough
way.
for me. Yeah, and he does have a positive outlook, and we could look at it like that. But she's still very responsible for her entrapment in this monotony of every day, and we can blame it on him, but he likes it. It's okay for him.
Right.
So let him be him. Like, he sees the spontaneity in her bowl, and she's like, they all
Or
look
it's
the
enough
same.
spontaneity for him.
Yes.
Because it has one variance, potentially a different shade of navy.
Oh, yeah, the colors. And it's true. It shows that there's so much gray area in love and people and human nature, because even the way they're each processing their deaths. Oscar's okay with just living, and Case and June are like, what the heck where are we? Who are we? It's really, it's confusing.
What I think now, all of this coming together, guys, is that Oscar is true to himself, like you're saying. He knows who he is and what he likes. He's a person that likes routine. He's happy with death. All is well in the world. He's got his June. He's got his friend Mark. Or that's his name, right? Mark, that boy. Anyway,
Yeah, he's funny.
So he's got what he's got, and he gets what he gets, and he doesn't get upset, and he's fine with this stagnant life because to him that's okay. To her, it sounds like she wasn't happy in life, and now she's not happy in death, and she is her own issue. Like she can't escape the fact that she keeps making bowls and can't figure out how to make a different bowl. So like that's her qualm to figure out.
Yes.
And
It's fascinating though, and when we get to where Case
Yes.
and June go,
Another place.
right? That they go somewhere else.
no, yeah, you can
Because
bring
they're-
it up.
okay.
Or no, not the other place, but their relationship is interesting.
Right, because they're feeding into each other's dissatisfaction
Yes.
with their lives. Like we find out, Case originally said she was working for the government. We come to find out she did the most banal job ever for the government. What did she do? Some sort of processing? or
Processing paperwork, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
boring thing.
And she even says it's so boring.
And she reveals that, like, originally you're like, oh, so suspenseful. But, like, she was a CIA agent. And they're like, you can just tell us because you're dead now. And she's like, I'd rather not. But it was because it was so boring, she'd rather seem elusive. And then they go one step further, and she's like, I want to light things on fire because I want to feel
To
something.
change,
and
she wants to change it.
But she can't change anything, and neither can June. Neither of them can light something on fire and make it different
It
because
stays.
they probably internally have to change themselves.
That's where I think we're going with this. We're starting to discover, and we talked about it last after show, like where are they? Is it purgatory? Is it like, yeah, I mean, if they can't change
Doesn't seem like it for Oscar.
it
Seems
does,
fine
yeah,
for him.
if they can't change their surroundings and where they're at, there's got to be some lesson they have to learn in order to do it. What's up with the fountain? What's up with the, I mean, we'll get,
Yes.
anyway, there's some things.
Well, and before we get to another place where I have way more questions to
so
ask
many.
about why things keep reappearing, Lauren has an announcement.
You guys, AfterBuzzers, all y'all listening and watching, our network produces after shows for all of your favorite TV shows, nearly all of them, but we're just going to say all of them because there's like a trillion of them. Okay, so we've got dramas, we've got reality TV, we've got sci-fi, we've got Amazon shows about love and death and things and all of the things. So we work really hard to service you guys and to get everyone the shows that they want, and we talk about them and keep the conversation going, and we need your help. We are asking for you to please subscribe to one or more of the YouTube channels that these shows that you love are on. So by subscribing, YouTube will then suggest content that is tailor-made for you, so AfterBuzz can help continue to grow. And don't worry about pesky notifications and things like that because they're optional. You just say no and opt out. And it's simple. You hit the subscribe button and on this channel and check out other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. It's pretty easy, and you just let us know in the comments that you did so, and we might even thank you on air. We'll shout you out like, thanks, Bradley, for liking our after show.
Bradley Pitt.
Holla. Yeah.
Close.
And
Single.
you guys, thank you again for being super fans like we are and the best fans in the world and helping us be the ESPN of Talk TV here at
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV.
We love it. We
It's
really do.
The best part. The best part is the fans because we're fans here.
Yeah,
we're
we're
such
different
fans of this show.
Exactly. So when we comment back at you in the chats and stuff, it's like I'm actually interested. Like you sometimes have better insight than me.
1,000,000%.
Also, we have things in common, so
Yes.
talk to us.
Okay, so in this next episode, it's the first time that while they're not dead, that we see Oscar and June, well, while they are together, that
Yeah.
we see Oscar and June separate. And it seems like the first time Oscar's really thinking, like, is June really unhappy? I think he's realizing that with the burning of the furniture.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what's so crazy about this episode is where the journey that Case and June take. Because originally she declined after hanging out all day, which was really cool to see them hang out. I really liked their relationship. They go outside and they get weaker, and then they do this thing where
Juicing.
Yeah. What do you guys
Hashtag juicing.
Is it morally wrong, like
No.
June thought? No. There's
don't
no.
I mean, I had never even heard of this concept, and now I'm super creeped out just in general, like to think that this might be a thing that
I mean,
dead
you're
people are
making
doing to
somebody
me.
tired. It's not that big of a deal.
Especially,
A
I
misogynist.
I appreciate that Case went after somebody that was not necessarily a good human, because then it was not taking from like a child or like a loving parent. It was she had enough wherewithal to do it to a guy who actually didn't deserve the energy, and they did to travel further and to explore.
Do you guys feel like the energy they got made them drunk? Like, this is the alcohol of the former world.
I literally I can't tell if she feels high or she's genuinely just happy for the first time getting out of her comfort zone. I have no idea what it is.
Do you think the actor choice was play drunk on life?
I felt like it was more high on life. Like they smoked in,
like
or they
invigorated.
inhaled.
Yeah, and she was like, when Maya Rudolph's character went up to the guy at the gas station pumping the gas, it's like something you would do when you were drunk. Like,
yeah.
She's like, can see me? Oh yeah, you getting that premium unleaded? Mama likes it. Like, it was funny. Like,
I have a feeling that was improv too. I don't think that was totally scripted.
I think they improv a lot on the show. Do you guys think that?
Absolutely.
I feel like they, especially with their Saturday Night Live backgrounds, like they've got to be very good at being off the cuff and improvisational. I think they're totally doing that.
They probably like it better.
Love it.
Yeah, but and then and June did the same thing where she was somehow like way stronger at doing dead people
What
stuff.
do you think that
How
means?
did she know about it? Also, she got there like after they did.
But
So
what
why
do
did she know about juicing?
What? No.
Good question.
How do you? You mean how did Case know about it? I feel like Case is wants to. She's the thirst. She is the hunger to know like what is out there, where everyone else might seem like they're just kind of like in it or they don't have questions. But what do you? I don't know. Do you feel like they're like? Okay, you know what? I should save this for predictions because I think there's something going on, and I'm gonna keep it to myself. But there's something going on between those two, I think.
Really?
Well, we also sort of find out more, don't we, in these episodes?
No.
I just think that, I don't know, maybe because you skipped ahead and you don't know where you ended up, but I think that this was very telling because it was this episode was so just her Case and June, and I feel like we got a lot of insight about like their hunger and thirst for exploration, if you will.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a really interesting point, and it might be, and we might find out because in the last episode that we're talking about today, we will get into the final scene with June and Case. But it's crazy because I think that they're both just like, we didn't live our lives right, and we weren't doing it really right when we first got here, so we need to go full throttle. And then when they're walking, they run into this mysterious man.
Do you think
What do you think he is?
Do you think he's like a representation and he only appears for the people who are trying to learn the lesson and better themselves, and maybe that the Mike or David or whatever the 70s Mark. You guys forgive me. I'm going to do this a whole entire season with the names. I think like Mark doesn't really care about leaving. Like there's some characters that don't really care. They're going to live in this life and that's their purgatory or their afterlife. But do you think this guy only appears to the people who he now knows are ready to move on and like directs them towards, what did he call it? Oceanside?
Oceanside. I actually just think he's sort of like the gatekeeper to Oceanside.
Yeah,
like,
but he has to only appear for the people who are ready to go to Oceanside,
Yeah, because he
right?
said Oscar can't go. It's
Yeah.
not for Oscar.
Right. And so, I mean, guys, I just know too much, but I'm so sorry. I feel all knowing. And
Well,
just,
some people, there's probably a lot of people out here who watching the show now that have gone all the way through.
Right.
So
they've gone all the way.
you guys
to
know, but
Oceanside.
I'm trying to keep it pure. I've only
Totally.
stopped because I will
Good
forget
restraint.
and stuff. It's
Couldn't.
restraint because the show
It's like
is
a
really good.
drug.
But I don't know. What do you think, Steph? Do you think that guy? What do you think that guy is?
I'm not sure because I first got creepy vibes from him.
The creepiest.
Yeah.
Totally.
He's like the Grim Reaper, but professionally dressed.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought
With
for
a
sure-
weird ass briefcase, and they were like, "What's in your briefcase?"
I thought for sure he was going to be bad, but then as the scene went, I didn't think he was bad. But at first, I did.
But Oceanside, and they lived in Riverside.
Yes.
So I go to San Diego. I don't know if it's just another section of another marked off location for people who are willing to go to think outside of the box. Like it's just a different
portal or something.
Yeah, I'm not.
But if we think about that in terms of like what we all know as heaven and hell, or what we think of as where people go, like there's the purgatory thing. Then is that hell?
Yeah,
Or that's like the
purgatory,
waiting area?
Hades. It's like in between limbo.
Okay, so like the limbo thing. Like maybe Riverside is heaven to Oscar, but hell to June. And then Oceanside's her version of heaven, or Case's version of heaven. And he's just like the conductor that's like, don't.
Yeah, so I
go
think when
right.
you get to these levels,
But it might be different for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that,
agree.
actually, because this show, like I said, was the gray area. Like, everyone's so individually different, and what seems right or wrong to one person isn't the other way. So that would make sense that your afterlife would be seen differently.
Right.
100%
You're all on
agree.
a different path, and like you show up to heaven or wherever this place is at a different place in your life.
just like real life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
guys.
it's
This is
all the same. It
so
doesn't
deep.
stop. Your energy does not stop. And clearly energy is a thing in the show, which I think they're trying to talk about because they're taking the juicing and taking the energy. It just comes in different forms. Like, it's all energy
Yeah.
existing.
Last point on this episode, though, Mark had a little bit of a B plot going on, which was fun to see, but the most important thing he said was his conversation to Oscar after. And I think Mark brings out a really great side of Oscar where he's so helpful and just like a really good person. But he said, why are you and June are the only ones together? You're so lucky. How did that happen? How did that happen?
Right. Like, how do you, first of all, how do you die? You
Yeah.
end up dying similar times, and then you end up in the same riverside, which again, we're only starting to find out that there's also an ocean side. So, like, yeah, how are they the only two people that came with a +1?
I think that they're trying to say that they're so different, but they're really not, though. They've
I
chose to
think
live these. I mean, there are
They're
some
together
things-
forever.
Well, I think forever. This episode I think their lives, to answer that question, I think their lives are obviously very, very similar, whether it's by choice or not by choice. But at least Oscar chooses to live this way. June does not. So maybe figure that out, honey. And then also, I think forever, this episode really nailed down the title forever. At first, I thought it meant like they're together forever because they love each other. Now I feel like forever means like
Stuck.
this energy is forever and you need to figure out what to do with it forever, no matter where you are.
Seems like it has a lot of plays on words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plays on words. Often.
Yeah, like metaphor.
Totally.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. It's not I don't want to say it's my favorite episode because it didn't have the people that we really have grown attached to.
It was
But
super
this was a
random.
great episode.
Such a good episode.
Andre and Sarah. It was a complete left field. Like, I had no idea this was coming. Lauren said that she thought she was watching the wrong thing.
It went on to the next episode, how it does on the Amazon queue. And I was like, oh, cute. Okay, where are we going with this? Who are these people?
I thought there were more dead people like Case.
Totally.
Like the new neighbors.
And they were like alone, and I was totally trying to figure it out. Your mind's trying to like make it make sense. And then it kept going, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And then about probably 15 minutes in, I went, oh crap, am I right? Am I watching the right thing? Did it skip to another show? They referenced the mold-ridden town in the
Yes.
beginning of the
Yes.
episode, which made
because
me...
they're
and
both
then-
realtors,
Yeah.
Andre and Sarah.
So, but I did question whether or not I was still watching forever. But
Yeah.
it's still, now thinking about it, like it
makes
visually looked the same. The cinematography was the same. So yes, it was the same, but it was so different.
But what did you think of this episode as you were watching it? Because obviously you said it was like one of your favorite
Yeah,
episodes. Did you know you were even watching the same thing?
I had to look at it again, but I knew kind of shortly when they said the town, they referenced the old town, and I was just obsessed with them too. I wanted them to be a part of the town, actually. I wanted them to be moved in there.
How did you think, were you rooting for them to be together?
Yeah, but I'm also a big, like, not infidelity person,
Yeah,
which is
see?
interesting. That's
Is
what,
anyone for infidelity?
Yeah, no.
Some
like-
people excuse the behavior though,
Just
but yeah,
curious. Listeners.
I was rooting for them too, even though what they were doing was wrong. And then I'm like, what is the lesson here?
But I love how they make it, they make things look normal and then they throw in what's actually happening.
Right, like you just feel like these two people met at an amazing open house and they're totally hitting it off and yay, love. But then you find out she actually is engaged to Greg.
Yeah,
Craig.
and he thinks that he's not ready for a relationship and that love isn't for him, which is also both self-prophesizing that they've kind of forced themselves into unhappy situations. Because they fast forward, well, they end up not doing anything then. They fast forward a few years, she goes to find him, and then I was like, oh, she's done with her husband. And then they full on are together.
The next scene, you're like, oh, they're together. And then you find out at the end of that scene, towards the end of that scene, that they are faking this life in a house that is not like, so what they must do is
crazy.
they must take this pretend life that they've created together where they're husband and wife and she cooks for him and he comes home and everything's normal, and they do it in houses, empty open houses that are at the nighttime that they've had access to. Now they've created this fake life where they don't talk about, so they're almost like in their former lives, you know what I mean, like they're in the former. I tried to draw that parallel because I'm, what are they doing? They're
Right, like, and why?
And they're so casual about, okay, well, we're just going to break up with our significant others tonight, and then come to find out
They don't.
They
break up.
don't.
Because then you see he obviously goes to look for her after many, many years, and he's old, and clearly they didn't end up together. He wouldn't go look for her, but she passed away, and I sort of felt that was coming. Now, when we see that she passed away and he's upset,
do you think that's karma?
what are they trying to say? Because then you see June watching it, and then it ties it back to the show, and you're like, oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Phew. Thought we got lost. But what do you think that means, and why were these two people in the show at all?
I think they were there to prove points. Like, a lot of the things I had written were like questioning like the institution of marriage, which is super interesting and a critical point of this show, and kind of what we should be doing, like picking for our own happiness. Is that selfish? Is that self-serving? Or are we being more selfish by not communicating and staying in this relationship? I couldn't find the exact parallel between them and Oscar and June, other than not doing what your heart is telling you to do.
I think that's spot on.
Like, not living your life to the fullest and then missing the opportunity.
And then what did he say?
He said at the end, I think, we missed our chance.
Yes.
And I think that June feels like that they missed their chance together, like in their former lives. They missed their chance to like really follow their hearts and do what they want. But it's still hard for me to say that because I feel like Oscar was living his best life. That's just what his best life looked like.
But that's why she's the one looking at these
Yes,
people.
and he's not.
And her perspective seems to be she personally, not they. Because she was alone. I thought she was looking at them saying, oh man, that could be me. Or that potentially was me, but now Case has riled me up and said, like, so you're going to just keep doing what you were doing? You're going to keep living in Riverside versus going to Oceanside? You're going to keep living the same life?
Make a big bra.
Make a big bra. Why not make
I
a big bra?
that.
It was so funny. So, like, I think that episode was just her lesson to see, now I have the opportunity to potentially change
And don't
things.
you love how Case rejected every single thing they did? She's like, screw this macaroni and cheese. I'm throwing it away. Like, every
love
single
that.
thing
I
they
literally
did.
threw it.
She was like, I am the antithesis of you, and everything you put my way, I am slamming the door in your face and throwing away your mac and cheese. Who throws away mac and cheese?
I don't know.
I don't know. Or a nice pottery.
Just saying.
One quote I did write down from Andre when they were discussing leaving their wife and husband. He said, I can't go back to the same thing day in and day out. With you, it's different. And we hear this a lot in television with people who are cheating. And I think this says a lot to relationships and infidelity. Like, there's difference. Everyone's different why they would cheat, but a lot of people, I feel like it is that monotony that drives them crazy, and then they cheat. But it's like, were they meant to be together?
But also, you're right. Were they meant to be together? Big question. Other question is the monotony that you are running away from. Are you just going to fall back into that pattern with this person again?
Because
guess
always
what,
greener.
June, you don't
Surprise.
like the monotony you're in this former life. You died. You have second chance, and you're still doing it.
Yes.
So you would have cheated and fallen into the monotony of another. What's your lesson? Like, that's, I think that's
Maybe to love what you have
falling
forever.
back into patterns. Yes, you get this excitement that shakes you up, but is it really going to make you take that next step and make some differences for yourself? Don't blame it on your partner. You're responsible too.
I mean, I'm kind of mad at Andre, though. Like, more just because we couldn't hear the result from Sarah, which was like, he said we missed our chance, but like, who of the two of them didn't actually end it? Why didn't they end up together when they said they were going to? And
She
also,
stayed married.
yeah, so
I think they probably both did it. They made excuses, and they probably both went back to the monotony of their everyday lives. Even though they found this excitement, it was right in front of them. And maybe that's June's question. Like, had it been presented to me, had there been ways for me to make this, shake it up and make it exciting, would I have done it?
And she does. That's how the episode ends, which is the biggest cliffhanger ever. I'm so jealous of Jen.
Opened the door and said, I want to go
To
Case.
Oceanside.
Yep, I want to go to
Can she
Oceanside.
come back is I have so many questions. I'm really excited.
The next one's gonna be good.
It's good.
It's good.
Surprise.
Jen.
Well, I'm not here next week, so I had to cheat, guys. I'm going to miss you dearly, and I'm
I
excited
know.
to
Oh,
watch
that's
the
true.
show. So
Yeah.
make me
We'll be
proud.
wrapping it up, just this duo next week.
Yeah,
with
we'll
Steph
have
and
the
I,
last 2 episodes. But do you guys have any final thoughts on the 3 episodes?
I'm excited for the next one.
Me too. Okay, I'm really excited for this. We have our It's Complicated, beautiful ladies, like I said in the beginning. And for this episode, we deal with the routine, growing resentment because you didn't go outside of your comfort zone. I want to ask you guys what your advice would be to couples who are feeling like this. What should they be doing? What can they say to their partners?
I think actually the fact that June has a new friend and a new outlet and is doing different activities is actually a great thing to have separate activities that you do, but then you can come back and tell the other person about it. So you have something new to offer the conversation. It's not just the same game they play all the time, which is like, what could you do in 30 minutes at the beach? What do you do at the beach? Whatever they said was like,
What could you do in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
30 minutes, something about 30 minutes.
Something about 30 minutes. Like, they have
That.
the same game they always play. They're very routine oriented. So you do have to switch it up. Like, ultimately, the goal would be to be together forever. However, you still have to remain interesting. Otherwise, you're boring and your relationship is more boring.
And the way to do that is to, like Jen said, find things that interest you personally, because you're responsible for your own happiness. June can't blame all of this on Oscar. So she needs to find some things that excite her, but you need to be able to do that without isolating your partner. So when you isolate your partner because you found some other interests, that's when like affairs happen and things like that. So pay attention to how to make this part of a partnership, but
Like
while
inclusive.
inclusive, and while taking care of yourself. And also, I think a good way to like not be in the monotony of things is address it, which I think June is trying to do, but they clearly have different ways of communication. And
Probably
maybe that's,
earlier.
Yeah, maybe that's just an issue that can't be overcome, or who knows, and maybe it's too late. But try to address the issue, and then it's like fake it till you make it, right? Like maybe you're not in the mood to be sexy that night, but like if you want to be more sexy with your partner, you feel like you're not having enough sex or something like that, you need to then pay attention to the fact that like maybe making myself do this one thing might help then it start to spiral into another thing. So like make sure what you're asking for, you're also contributing to as well, and try and like mix it up a little. Like, suggest something fun or something spontaneous to get yourself out of the rut too, because it's not just you; it's you and your partner.
Like the fact that they went to skiing instead of the lake house.
That was good.
But that was also 13 years in. Like they I think, obviously, had they called us earlier and we gave them our advice earlier, Steph.
Yeah, get your notepads out,
Right,
everyone.
sorry,
I should have
guys.
told
we
you
could have
earlier.
helped them.
We're here for you
much
now,
earlier,
though.
but we are. So
No, but
and they're dead. But it's fine.
doing the ski trip was good, even though it was better late. It was better late than never.
Well, and he died. But here's the thing. But maybe that shows you literally die if you don't make changes to your life. If like your spirit dies.
the death
That's
of you.
literally what happened to Sarah, now that you're saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the death
Because
of
if you don't do the things you want to do along the way and you live this life that you're not proud of and it's just boring and you literally are sleeping at the wheel, essentially, you're maybe sleeping on your skis and you die. So that's the moral of this story, I guess, guys. But how about this? Like we mentioned earlier, the goal is to evolve because you don't want to remain the same because that's monotony. So if it's your job to change as you, like, everything changes. So you two can change together because you don't want to leave one person behind either. You have to make a common goal and you just say, we're going to be better together. So whether it's we become better at communication, we become different, we have new hobbies we do together, we learn to make new things in the kitchen. Like, always keep it moving together, though.
Yes.
Push yourself
forever.
too. Push yourself to motivate in that. Don't just depend on your partner to get you to motivate to be doing spontaneous things. You got to make yourself spontaneous, and even if you don't feel like it totally, just try.
And
Put
I
the
feel
effort
like that's
forward.
the great part about partners is that when one of you feel down, the other one's bound to be like more up that
Totally.
day, so you can balance. I feel like I'm ready to take on a lot of relationships.
You should be.
But you should take on all of them at one time.
You're welcome.
No, but that's good advice for even like friendships too.
Yeah.
Like you can
Anything
you can fall into this routine and then you grow resentment without looking to yourself. So thank you guys.
Oh, you're
They're
welcome.
You know,
the
we're here.
best.
Thank you.
Let's get into some news and gossip. It's more gossip today, but we're excited.
Yeah.
TV News.
So on the internets, in the past week, there's an article that came out that sort of hinted at a season 2. There was a reporter that basically pieced together with her forensics sort of like an interpretation of these various interviews that have been done by Fred, by Maya, by the creators of the show, hinting at there potentially being a season 2. And obviously I watched the whole thing through, and I think a season 2 would be a fabulous idea. But we will see. They haven't confirmed it yet.
There's no real news, but
No.
we're hinting towards at
Right.
least wanting it.
Yeah, and also there was a line in this article that said, if the show finds the right audience and sort of like gets a cult following, then there could be a season 2. So that means all you super fans watching and listening, start making a ruckus on the internet and make a season 2 happen.
That's great advice because I feel like they didn't want to overly market it because it's more of a secret what kind of happens. And I was reading in the articles, they were very serious about the journalists covering it, not to give away too much.
Yeah.
And that made it so people have no idea really what it is.
We still are watching and have no idea what's happening in the
spread
next
the word.
episode.
They did a good job of that with the storytelling too, like still keeping it mysterious.
Yeah.
Super mysterious.
Yeah.
So yeah, they hinted that, and then also they actually said that Maya and Fred signed up because they're like, well, it's 1 season. That's a very easy job for us to do. We don't have to commit to much longer than that. So that sounded like there was never going to be a season 2, but that's not necessarily the case. And it's for Amazon, and those shows are quite easy to sort of put together quickly and release because it's all at one time. So hopefully there is a season 2. Now the next thing is Maya was on Ellen promoting Forever, and this is just more gossipy. They played a really fun game
So
of rapid
cute.
fire questions, and Twitch was the moderator, and they both had to answer different things. And one of the things was like, 3 things you think about while in the shower, and Ellen says like, oh, look at that, I'm so clean. And Maya just makes fun of her for everything she says. And then
Yes.
Maya gets the question like, well, what do you think Oprah says at trick-or-treaters? 3 things she says. And she's like, boo, happy Halloween. And like,
Her impersonations are spot on.
oh, it's so good. It's just so good. They just make fun of each other. You guys all have to watch it.
But it's just a true testament to like see how much fun they must have on the set doing this. And
Her
her and
improv's
Fred are the improv, even though it's a pretty like low tonal show, if you will. Like nothing's crazy or outlandish or comedic. You can still see their
Yeah.
comedy.
It
in
feels
there.
like how Curb Your Enthusiasm was shot, where it was an outline and they basically gave the actors like full reign.
Yeah.
Like hit the points. We're trying to get the story to move along, obviously. So do that, but like say whatever the hell you want that makes sense for the character you are playing. And I feel as though that is similar to how this show works.
they hired the right people for that.
Absolutely. And then the last thing is there was a video that we talked about last week about the advice they would give to people about being married and stuff. Like one was like, just punch them in the face. Or, you know, tell them to buy a farm.
Invest in farming.
Invest in farming. The other thing that they talked about in the same interview that they released just recently was why it's so great working together and why they love working together and how they sort of met each other and they're like, well, this is the person that for me. It was like their actor soulmate.
Dang.
And they confirmed that they copied the Up montage. They basically said
We
they
were right.
plagiarized. And they were like, we didn't plagiarize it, but we just like the word plagiarize. We plagiarized the Up montage in the beginning episode.
Yeah, the
So-
music and the montages are really good in this season so far.
So I just like that they confirmed that we were right. Because we said that.
We
so.
picked up on it.
Yeah.
That's,
So that's
great.
news.
I love that. We'll have to, maybe we can put the clips to those videos into the comments so people
Yeah.
can watch them because they are super fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Anything with Ellen though, and Maya Rudolph, like that's crazy.
Double
I want to
trouble.
be their best friend.
So fun.
Well, let's get into some predictions. I know Jen's a little.
Now,
Tell us
your
what you
AfterBuzz TV.
thought before you watched
Okay.
the next episode.
So I thought that June was going to do something shifty because of the fact that she just saw Sarah and Andre, and I actually if I had to predict, not knowing the future, I would predict we'd see Sarah at some point because she died.
Yes.
So that is something I'm like, where did she go? Did she not go to Riverside? Did she go to Oceanside? What happens in Oceanside? I want to know what goes on there. So my prediction is that we're going to see that creepy man again with a suitcase.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to learn about Oceanside, and maybe it's not all what it cracks up to be.
I predict we're going to see Sarah. I feel like there's got to be a connection there. And maybe I'm wrong, but I predict that. I have a crazy prediction. I think that June and Case might have a little bit of a relationship happening. I don't want to go as far as say it's sexual, but it may borderline on it. There's just something there that's deeper than friendship, and I want to say it could be they're just so they want to explore things so badly, and I just think that they're willing to go there and see what anything is like no boundaries, no gender boundaries, no life boundaries, I think that we're going to see something happen between them that's more than what you would expect.
I'm like stressed thinking about it.
I think that it's
What do you think?
there.
What's your prediction?
The episode ended, I was like, what? And I just finished it right before we talked about it, so I didn't have time to really collect my thoughts, but I think that we're going to see the creepy old man again. We're going to see Oceanside, which I'm really excited to see.
So excited to see what that is.
Yeah, yeah, because where the heck is that? And then Sarah, I do think has to be... I feel like Sarah or Andre have to be a callback somewhere in it.
For sure.
Or they couldn't, because Forever is like that, and I would be like, you guys are the only show who can do this to us.
But it's so weird because they're the only the only characters that came out of nowhere. And so, like, I feel like I need to know more because otherwise this served as one lesson for June.
The new dead girl for Date Mark, it came out of nowhere too. How cute was that?
She did come out of nowhere, but I feel like Mark needed a storyline so that Oscar had a purpose.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
could see more of Oscar's.
Great point.
He gave good advice.
He did give good advice.
He was super facilitating as far as making that happen. We also got to understand that time and space there is very different. So Mark sees her as her child self because he died as a child.
Do you think
or
he
a teen or
sees her
whatever.
younger still? Do you
I
think
don't
he
know.
sees?
How could he not see her
No.
as the old lady? I don't know.
would like that, but I don't think so.
Yeah, because I'm like,
But
really?
maybe you see people, and this could then make sense if the two women were to be lesbians. They see their souls versus their appearances.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's this
The
is something
soul
deeper
connection.
there. It's a soul connection.
versus an appearance connection.
Love is love, people.
Love is
Well,
love.
that's
and maybe-
absolutely true. I just don't know what June's gonna do because she obviously still loves Oscar. So
She
I'm
does.
just really curious to see that relationship. I agree, something's gonna happen, and Oscar's gonna have to acclimate or get left behind.
Or get left behind.
Anyways, you guys, we have 2 more episodes to talk about next week. It will just be Lauren and I. Jen will unfortunately be gone. But until then, where can we find you? And Jen?
You guys can find me at Jenifer Golden on all social media platforms and us together at Complicated Show on all the social media platforms and right here on AfterBuzz TV where we do our show. It's complicated.
Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. PST. And you can find me at Lauren Leonelli on all the social medias.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We had so much fun talking about these. I can't wait! Yay! What happened to June?
I'll never tell.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.